That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
The Sports Fix. It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Football season is party season at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Everyone wins at Harry Buffalo. Every Saturday is Coors Light College Football Saturday with $6 pitchers, 4 bottles for $10, and the Buckeyes in full HD. Football season is most definitely party season, and your headquarters is Harry Buffalo North Olmsted all winter long. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Incoming transmission. You got a message.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all week to join in on the fun. Follow the Sports Fix on Facebook. They love friends. It's just a click away. Exclusive contests, trivia, tickets, and giveaways from the hottest sports show in town, The Sports Fix. Become a friend and follow The Sports Fix on Facebook today.
Message.
Hey everybody, listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey guys, listen up.
No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, you guys are rocking with Reggie Germany, former wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills and Ohio State Buckeye. You're rocking with the Sports Fix.
Let's do it.
Like, I can't lie. I'm always ready to do it when we come back from the break, but something makes me more ready to do it when Tone Loc says, let's do it, at the beginning of that track right there. Let's do it, baby. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. Rolling on hour 2. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan on the hotline going to join us in just a moment. You can join us on Facebook and Twitter and email until I reopen the phone lines. A couple of good calls today to start things off. Coach Waters with us. Hey, by the way, Coach Waters, CSU, obviously, Coach had a good time today. Hit me up during the break. Enjoyed today's interview, and I enjoyed it too. I mean it. I wasn't just saying what I was saying for expedient purposes. I meant what I said. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to Coach Waters. Thanks to CSU. Thanks to everybody that's called so far. Dan will be with us next. Keep it going on Facebook and Twitter and email. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix, CLE, all one word. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. And I'm going to go to the phones. I said Dan Wismar. He's with us every Wednesday from the Cleveland Fan. Buckeyes have an off week coming up, which is fine because there's plenty of things going on, including some baseball playoffs as we are marching closer to a World Series. We're down to a Final Four. So let's start there. And there's some Browns and Steelers week, baby. So let's just kind of roll with the conversation to the phone lines. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan with us here. Dan, how you doing this afternoon?
J-Rock Daddy, my friend. I'm doing fine. Good to be with you.
Am I wrong? Is it just me? When Tone Loc with those gravelly Tone Loc tone says, let's do this, doesn't that just get you going there, man? I'm telling you.
Let's do it. I love your bumper music. You got it going.
We're trying to have some fun here, man.
We're digging the baseball. I mean, it's all about the baseball right now. I mean, with the Buckeyes off, and the NFL is just, like John always says, a week-to-week deal. Obviously, it's a big week in Cleveland, but I'm wrapped up in this baseball thing. with both number one seeds getting knocked out, American and National, it's just, the contrast is kind of amazing. It's what I'm struck with is how you've got in the National League the two teams that have been in the last 4 World Series.
Yep.
Two each in alternating years. They, the Cardinals and the Giants have been the NL representative for the last 4 years. And then you got to go back to the early 80s to find either one of these American League teams in the World Series. So to me, that just makes it immensely interesting. I obviously will be pulling for the AL like I always do, but that's that kind of contrast, I think, this year that makes it very compelling.
I got to tell you, obviously, I'd rather one of them had a wahoo and a feather on their cap, but looking at these 4 teams and these 4 logos, I love the Final Four this year. I'm with it. I know you weren't digging San Francisco, and I said I kind of got to. You know what? It's everybody's got their different stories on how they. And some of mine are silly, but maybe some people have different silly ones like that. I got into the Giants in my childhood. I remember the year that and it was the first time I got caught up in a pennant race that had nothing to do with Cleveland, because at that time we didn't have a whole lot of pennant races going on. But remember when San Francisco and the Dodgers had that incredible pennant race? It would have been late 80s, early 90s. Both teams won over 100 games. I think San Francisco won it down at the end. It was in that Kirk Gibson era of the Dodgers and the Giants. Anyways, one of those years, I just kind of, San Francisco came from behind, I think, and won the division on the last day of the season or something like that. And I don't know. But around that time, I kind of dug the San Francisco Giants, man. And Baltimore and KC, they haven't been in the World Series for 30 years, but when I was coming up, they were around a lot. They were two of the, in Baltimore. My dad was a big baseball historian because, the older baseball fans, it's different now. They loved every player, not just their teams. They got to see, and my dad, Brooks Robinson, he would tell me about the Orioles and seeing some of those guys at the stadium. So, I don't want to say a soft spot for Kansas City and Baltimore, but, that last time they were good, I was a kid. So maybe it's nostalgia kicking in with me. But, there were like 3 Ripkins last time Baltimore had the national attention like this. I think they had the whole Ripken clan there. But, that, and I like St. Louis. I told you that. To me, they're the small market, big market team. I mean, they hide in St. Louis there, even though we know that they can spend some money. But, man, they got a hell of a farm system, too. So I'm digging this Final Four.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And, when I grew up, Cleveland, Ohio in the 60s, when I'm getting into baseball, we just didn't see National League teams. The only time you'd see any, San Francisco Giants was at the All-Star game. But I used to be in awe of that team, and I'm talking about McCovey, Mays, Clemente, later on, Bobby Bonds.
Yeah.
Playing on that team. What an outfield. So you saw a little bit about them, but more than anything else, you just were able to read about them in the newspaper. You'd see some of these guys for the only time all year you'd see them in the All-Star game because they just weren't on TV. But Baltimore is a different story. I mean, I grew up watching Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, those guys, Earl Weaver. I love watching the YouTube videos of Earl Weaver mic'd. I mean, there's some great YouTubes if you ever search Earl Weaver on YouTube. It's some fabulous stuff when he's mic'd on the field, just cussing up a storm and being a spectacle, making a spectacle out of himself. But yeah, those were great teams. Baltimore Orioles in that one year, 69, I believe it was. They had 4 20-game winners. I mean, they were all about, pitching and the 3-run homer, and they were 160s and on into the 70s a little bit, I guess. But from Boog Powell to the shortstop that's Belanger and some of these guys, they had some great players. And Brooks Robinson was always one of my favorite players that I would see coming to Cleveland when I went down to the stadium. Him and Harmon Killebrew and, of course, some of the famous Yankees. But used to love watching the Orioles. I always thought their uniforms were cool. And so I'm glad to see them in there. And I think I might even just turn into an Orioles rooter now that the Royals have made it in. And something about being so close to the Royals this year and taking the season series from them as we did 10-9 makes me kind of not want them to see them win the World Series or even get to the World Series just because it hits a little bit too close to home.
Well, hey, Baltimore's close enough. Baltimore's payroll was only $14 million on opening day, more than Kansas City. They were only 4 spots apart in Major League Baseball. So you take away some of that. I know some people would, I guess you would consider that, but Baltimore's still at $107 million. I mean, yeah, that's 35 more than Cleveland, which is the point that I make there. But yeah, that's not as much as evil as rooting for the Yankees or the Dodgers or something like that. With the Dodgers getting knocked out, that officially takes the number 1 payroll out of the postseason. A record $235 million payroll got the Dodgers nothing at all but a very quick exit from the first round of the playoffs. And for those of you, and that's where I always like to say, you can't say that every team that spends the most wins, but you do end up with your group at the end all being among the teams that spent the most for the most part. We saw that again this year. But that is proof, as LG just said in the chat room, that money does not guarantee you a final victory. Man, $235 million. 3 times the Indians' payroll to finish, what, they played 4 games longer than the Indians did?
Right, yeah, and had one more playoff win than the Indians did.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Yeah, but you're right, and I guess now what the highest payroll among the final 4 teams is what, the Cardinals?
Yeah, I've got the payroll pulled up here. I was just getting ready to get into that. No, San Francisco was number 7 with a $154 million payroll. They were 7th in all of baseball. Then, so actually they're the big dogs that are left is San Francisco. They are at 150 plus. Then you've got St. Louis, which was 13th in baseball. They had $111 million payroll. Then then you had Baltimore, and Baltimore was just 2 spots below, $107 million. And then Kansas City bringing up the rear here, representing the small market teams everywhere at $92 million. And what's funny is that's still $10 million more than what the Indians' payroll was when you talk about Kansas City. And that's where I cannot just totally go, hey, let's not blame the Dolans when people throw that up. Because you call Kansas City a good, small market, comeback, come from behind story, and they still spent almost $11 million more than the Indians did. So even there is a difference between them and us.
Well, that's true, but I think you can really more look at Kansas City as the team that maybe not in terms of the, offense or whatever. A lot of other comparisons don't hold up, but the one comparison that does hold up to the mid-'90s Indians is that their team was groomed in-house. I mean, the Tribe traded for some of those guys, but basically it was a team where everything came together at the right time, and it coincided, of course, with the new stadium and everything else for that mid-'90s run. But this is what Kansas City's been building for several years. Yeah, they brought in a shield, and they brought in some pitching because they didn't really grow their own pitching very well. But the bullpen, the day-to-day players, and the Hosmers and the Stockases and Gordon, these are guys that they drafted and developed, and they've come to maturity, and now they're peaking at the right time. Yep. They've got a little bit of magic, or whatever you want to call the attitude, or just the momentum of October going for them right now. But it's not so much just the fact that the top 6 payrolls in baseball, all the big spenders, and you can it's not just the top 1 or 2; it's the top 6 did not make it to the final 4 teams in this tournament, and that has to give heart to the mid and small markets because it proves it can be done. And Oakland proved it, even though they had an early exit. But there were several the small market teams that really made a run, and the Indians are one of them that were right there till the last week of September.
What it proves to me is what I think many of us all know about baseball, and this is where I keep going to the haves and the have-nots, is all the little guys, one of them, maybe 2 of them, survive. And the top 10 payrolls get to compete for 8 of the 10, or however many of the available spots, depending on what you want to count with wild cards and stuff. But for the right to club each other out of the playoffs and not be the last team standing, but they all still get there a little bit easier. Meanwhile, here comes Cleveland, Kansas City, and Oakland beating the hell out of each other, just hoping to be that team that gets to survive and get into the fray. But here they sit, and as you said, looking at even the top 10, if you want to go that far, there's only one of the top 10 payrolls in the Final Four, and that being the San Francisco Giants. But again, if you look at the top 10,